Hello, welcome to NPR. This is John. Today we're going to talk about the life cycle of the butterfly. And if that's not enough to put you to sleep, we got Ben Stein to count to 1,000.
Oh,
Was that good?
welcome to the generational gap.
You like that intro? I thought it was pretty good.
Oh, that's awesome, John.
Yeah. So we got a couple topics to talk about. So I'm John. I'm the millennial, the youngin, if you will, and sitting across from me is my lovely and beautiful co-host, Robert.
I'll join to that.
Who is a Gen Xer, I guess.
Gen Xer is good.
Yeah.
It doesn't roll off the tongue very easily.
Yeah, we gotta think of something better.
If you were a Gen Xer, it would.
All right. So, do we want to get into the first topic?
But yeah, if we want to jump into the first topic, because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to like your opinion on it.
All right, let's do that.
I'm feeling antagonistic. I can go with it.
All right, so let's get started then. The first thing we have, I think, we've already got it pulled up here. We've got Roseanne Barr apologizes for racist, quote-unquote, bad joke about Obama advisor. Should ABC scrap season 11? I thought they only did one season of the new show. Is that
they're looking at it as a continuation of the original, right? So this was season 10, technically season 1 of the reboot.
Okay.
But yeah, they went ahead and pulled anything they were going to do with season 2 shortly after, a few hours after she threw that tweet out there.
Before we get into everything that happened, I've watched the original, but I've actually not seen any of the newest ones. So, and I know you have. So, do you want to give us, a little bit of
the conversation?
Well, yeah. So, what was the show?
The new show.
The new show.
It is very similar to the original. In as far as the dynamic, they've done a great job of getting back into the same old dynamic of the family. But this one, I felt that they looked at issues a little more closely. They talked about them from the standpoint of the percentage of Americans, and it's not small, that are living under the level, that poverty level, that struggling to get by level, and have a full family that can't, even they can't all support themselves, so they keep coming back together and having to, but they're talking about issues that are current. They've touched on immigration. They've touched on prescription, the opioid epidemic, and prescription drugs and the costs and things associated with that. Immigration. And then, they touched on Trump a little bit, but it is her support of Trump that has been the biggest thing about this show coming out. I think that had a lot to do with the large amount of viewership it got when it first started, and continued to keep that and gain more. But it's well done. That's the sad part about all of this for me, is the show was being done very well.
All right. So, I guess let's get to this this racist tweet that we have here. You want to read that, or you want me to read it?
Okay, so the main thing is to give a little context for what this is about. I'm trying to. The woman that she's referring to was on Obama's staff, right? And so it's basically talking about policy. What was going on with the CIA at the time, this, that, and the other, right? And so if you go on down, here's where she comes out, and she's Jarrett. They're accusing of hiding a bunch of things that went on with this supposed CIA.
Sure.
Watching everything. I'm trying to nutshell it here. But Roseanne, of course, because she is, this is the problem I have with her, is how she responds personally from her comedic standpoint. Her sense of humor is not as good as she thinks unless it's written comedy, in my opinion. Her stand-ups, would get pretty raw sometimes, and it wasn't always that terribly funny to me.
Right.
Not to say that she wasn't a good comedian. However, she's also supporting Trump, and these ideas about what kind of person he is, white supremacist, everything to do with immigration, the whole 9 yards, racism is just, and for her to come out and say the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby, and then include Jarrett's initials there.
Yeah.
Now, she does that and is surprised that there's repercussions. It's that kind of antagonistic comment. Anybody can sit and say, yeah, I was taking Ambien.
Yeah, so outside of the Ambien thing, though, do you think that she was aware that she was going to cause that kind of controversy? Or do you think that she thought it was just another comment that, would kind of go by and, just another comment to scroll
through? She's a shock queen. Her performance of the national anthem.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So many years ago.
Yeah, didn't she grab her crotch too during it and spit on the ground and shit?
She's a shock queen. So, of course, she's going to play shock value, much like Trump does. In her mind, she was tweeting something that she figured Trump couldn't. That's how I pictured it in my mind. But, she knew. If she has that much insight into it to make a tweet, especially later on saying that she was tweeting blind, she didn't know that Jarrett was African American.
Yeah, she was. I saw something like that. She was saying she might have been like Saudi or Iranian or like Jewish or something like some like mixture of things.
Or did she? So she assumed that she was Muslim. And
maybe
the Muslim Brotherhood.
Maybe, but again, in defense, and I'm not the first one who said this, but her hairstyle is exactly the same as the lead ape from the Planet of the Apes, lead female ape of the Planet of the Apes.
I get you. Okay, so maybe
not saying that it was, not saying that she wasn't wrong in saying what she said, but I mean that could be.
It's inflammatory.
Oh yeah.
And that's but it's the lack of filter.
Yeah.
Look at what a lack of filter that she has when she puts something out there and then she's got to go back. And what's interesting is, we're looking at this apology. I apologize to Valerie Jarrett and to all Americans. I am truly sorry for making a bad joke about her politics and her looks. I should have known better. Forgive me, my joke was in bad taste. Was her joke in bad taste before her show got canceled?
Right,
or
that's
after?
That's what a lot of people are thinking, that she just apologized in hopes of trying to save her show, because I believe she deleted it. If she didn't delete it, then I know she was like retweeting people who were defending her for a while, and so, I think it was just like an attempt to kind of smooth things over, and when that didn't work, she doubled down and. But one thing that you have to learn, especially in Twitter or any kind of thing like that, if you're some kind of big name, you can't apologize. You can't. It only makes things worse when you apologize, because as soon as you apologize, the narrative is going to be it's an insincere apology, and so people who were your fans even after you said that might turn on you. And so you have a net loss of fans either way. So you might as well, just double down and, stand by.
It's kind of like sending your buddy a picture of a cake that says, "Sorry, I fucked your mom."
Yeah, right? Yeah. It doesn't really, it doesn't do a very good job smoothing things over.
Right.
It's probably still going to be pretty mad.
Because ultimately it's going to come down to timing. So when you put this apology out, what was the first thing going through your mind? Of course, it all becomes speculation because you can't say one way or the other, but we are no longer in an age of, waiting to find out, okay, so tell us the story. Tell it to 30 people and let's see if the story is cohesive, after you tell them individually. It's about immediate reactionary response. And I love reactionary response because I believe that reactionary responses weed the chaff. It's you get to see so much of what you don't want to listen to, like to where you. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it amazes me at the levels that people will go to just to be responding. And trolls, most of it is trolls, or as we used to call it, flaming.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Flame wars.
Flame wars. Yes.
Yeah.
It was.
That's old internet stuff.
Yeah. Well,
some of the kids. Yeah, some of the kids these days, might not know.
I almost remember the whole tune that AOL played when it went through my modem.
Oh yeah. Funny story about that. You know how when you logged into, I believe it was AOL, it would be like, "You've got mail."
Exactly.
My dad had found one that set it up for my mom. That every time she went into her email, it would be like, "You've got mail, fat ass," like that.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty hilarious.
I bet your mom thought so too.
Oh yeah, she did. Yeah,
she was rolling on her fat ass.
Right. Yeah, no, that was really funny though.
It was one of those things that, look, I could see how she may not have intended it to be racist. It does explain the tweet that she put out where she said, "Hey, Muslim is not a race because people." So if she was only referring to the haircut, but you've got to look at the context that you're throwing shit against the wall in.
Oh yeah.
If you got to know.
If it was anyone else, say
it about a white
fine.
person, and nobody's going to be upset because the haircut says it all.
Right.
But as soon as you say it about an African American woman, you've crossed a line. You've crossed a line that our society won't digest properly.
Yeah.
There's just too many ways you can take it. It's smarter that, if you're going to make a statement, say something real. Don't try and punch somebody in the face with your words. What's the point? You're not opening dialogue. If you want to expose something, if you're trying to say that there was a cover-up, if you're trying, give something relevant to the story.
Right.
Let's not knock somebody for your assumed religion and your dig on a haircut.
So this is interesting though, because now the actual story that she was responding to is completely sidelined. It's not like in the news.
Sure,
it's all about her and what she said. Right. So I mean, that's kind of interesting though. I wonder if that was, I don't want to get all conspiracy theory, but that was some kind of opportunistic plan.
No, because her side is the one that's trying to figure it out and prove it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, but I mean, like the mainstream media being able to, talk about that only as opposed to, which I don't know. I haven't seen whether or not they talked about the actual article, but
that's her that is her mistake, and that's maybe we can try and call it a little bit of narcissism, because everybody who's in any way funny has a certain level of narcissism. The more funny they are, comedic, etc., they have a certain level of narcissism because your whole goal is to get everyone to look at you and laugh at and with you.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a certain amount of narcissism to, think that anyone wants to hear what you have to say anyway.
And I mean, you cannot tell me that Roseanne doesn't have a healthy level of narcissism.
Oh, yeah.
When you don't go out and stand on a fucking picture mound and sing our national anthem like that, if you are not just looking to get looked at.
Right.
So yeah, it backfires, and you take everything off the real topic. Yeah. So you derail your own agenda, or derail somebody else's agenda. Because to be honest with you, I don't think she gives a rat's ass.
No,
she's coming back. She was coming back into her fame.
Yeah.
And she's again going for shock value, but you can go too far if you don't think first. I mean, honestly. Anybody in the public eye needs to go ahead and, they need to read and reread and get some opinion on things before they post it.
Yeah.
They really do.
Well, I mean, the whole Ambien thing, I mean, if that is the factor that is true, which I mean, I can believe, that, I mean, I can believe that just because, I mean, there's so many stories about people losing memories, not, cooking a meal in the middle of the night and forgetting about it. you know, things like that. People driving and getting pulled over by the police, you know, under the influence of Ambien alone. So, I mean, that is something that,
Well,
yeah, I mean, not that it excuses what she says, right? Because
right.
even if you're drunk, right, you're still responsible for your actions.
Well, and there
So
it is.
that's no
It's a
excuse.
responsibility for actions. If you're
But what I'm saying is her thought
influence of
process
something.
wouldn't have been there about, you know, what are the implications of me saying
Sure.
this? Like,
So she could
but
have been. She could
again,
have
not
said she
to
was
defend
drinking
her.
Budweiser. You know,
yeah, not to defend her. I'm just saying, you know, that's, you know.
But now, you know, the question I'll put to you real quick before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
Does ABC canceling her show over a tweet step on her First Amendment rights?
I don't believe so.
To free speech?
No, because no one stopped her from saying it. Right.
But the repercussion, you know, it goes against her contract, so she's not allowed to say something like that because of her contract.
Well,
or
I think
she signed away her freedom of speech.
Right.
Because I would think that's a substantial reason to sue ABC if it was a First Amendment issue.
I don't think it is. I think it's probably in her contract because I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that ABC is owned by Disney. I'm pretty sure.
There you go.
And Disney's very, very strict on
moral
people
turpitude.
They're very, very strict on who.
That was from Porky's.
Porky's.
Moral
Oh my
turpitude.
god. But yeah, so Disney would get rid of somebody quick as soon as they fuck up and just step out of line just a little bit and they're gone.
I was watching shortly after your plug. A caller had come in. And he had said that.
People at home don't know what you're talking about.
Of course they do.
So why don't you give a little bit of context?
No, when you called into the Christensen show, the caller after you apparently said something to the effect that he had read that there was rumors stirring that Fox was going to pick her up.
I've heard some rumors, not about Fox necessarily, but I've heard things like, what was this? It was like this little streaming service that ran off of some kind of cryptocurrency.
Gotcha.
Was talking about picking her up. I mean, Netflix certainly could if they had the inclination. But yeah, so hopefully she's gonna either get her act together or hopefully she's got enough money to survive.
With people that have quit the show, it's going to be a tough sell whether or not you're going to get it back on. And hopefully, from the show standpoint, I'd love to see more of it. But I could do with less of this kind of antagonism, this kind of add-ins to the discussion that aren't a discussion when you do it.
Yeah. All right. I think we're ready to move on to the next topic.
We could. Depends. Do we have a good segue for it? Beer will do.
beer will do. All right. We have here
Uber.
from the Uber. All right. So here we have. Uber driver allegedly fatally shot passenger on interstate. Hey, I mean, if I was going to drive Uber, I would be carrying a gun. I mean...
Well, I don't blame him for having a gun, but apparently it was an altercation. So, whoa, wait. Oh, now see, this is what I love. The story gets updated because originally the story was he killed another driver in another vehicle. But now it's, now it's his passenger.
You want to read it out loud?
Wow. I'm just absorbing.
So that way everyone can hear what you're...
An Uber driver allegedly shot and killed his passenger in Denver on a major interstate early Friday morning. The shooting happened as the vehicle drove over ramp from University Boulevard Bridge to southbound 25 in Colorado's capital city, forcing the temporary closure of the roadway through rush hour. The footage showed the silver sedan crashed into a wall at the entrance ramp, which is currently closed. Investigators believe the driver and his passenger got into an altercation inside the vehicle. According to Denver Police Department spokesman Sonny Jackson, shots were fired. Passenger wounded, transported to the hospital, and died. Driver was treated for unspecified injuries. I love unspecified injuries. They know the other guy has made it to the hospital and died, but unspecified injuries. So can't be much. Driver Michael Hancock, already got a name out there. That's nice. but it's not immediately clear if he was working at the time of the shooting. Well, if
So he's an Uber driver, but
what
it
seat
wasn't
was the
clear.
passenger in?
Well, I mean, it could have been a friend of his or something,
Right.
but I mean, then why implicate Uber in this? So I mean, I don't know. So let's keep reading.
But
then.
he's been arrested for first-degree murder already in connection with the shooting. So what I don't understand, okay. Of course, Uber is deeply troubled, as they have been for the past few months with multiple things in the news. I mean, they've had a kind of a bumpy road over the last few months.
Yeah.
Deeply troubled by the events in Denver today. Thoughts are with the families of those involved, and we will continue working closely with police. So I guess how do they call it murder if they don't know who, what, where, and why?
Well,
the guy was shot.
Does
they
it
can
say
figure
anything
out-
about
sure.
that? We're going to determine what the relationship was between
Right,
what
so
appears
they
to
don't
be
know
a
if he was
passenger driver.
working, not working.
Oh, okay. So so they do kind of drag Uber into it. Then if they don't know that he was working currently, if he wasn't working, then why? If it's just somebody that he knows, or maybe even somebody he picked up off the street. I don't know why he wouldn't. Why he would work for free, but it could be. I don't know why you would implicate
When was this
Uber in it.
article written? Was that from, what time today was that from? If I look up here, it's 4:37 p.m. So,
Oh wow, that's only like 2 hours ago.
This morning, they had not arrested him, according to the news report.
Uh-huh.
It was, first reported that there looked to be another vehicle involved, shot, whatever. But these things change. But they were trying to determine. But how are they? I guess I don't understand how we determine it's first-degree murder when we don't even know who or what, why this who was shot.
The media might not know. The police might know and haven't released it yet, or at least as far as when the last time this article was updated.
Yeah, it strikes me as odd. So but Uber's had some challenges, and the real question is who put Uber out there?
Yeah.
Was it the police? Like, okay, is this an important part of it? Do they need to know if it was a passenger?
Well, he could have had the Uber sticker on his front, I've seen some people have the sticker on the front windshield. I guess so that they're that they're Uber when they're coming.
I guess the thought is you're supposed to pull them down whenever you're.
Oh yeah, I figured they were just they're like a window cling.
They are. They're like a window magnet, but they come on and off.
Oh, okay.
I've had them for Lyft.
They use the same thing.
I was going to drive for them, but
I've seen people with both. And that makes sense. Why would you?
But you want something to take down because technically you're not supposed to drive with those things if you're not working at the time.
Yeah.
So especially that's a liability because of the liability that can go on with that.
I mean, I wouldn't do it, but I don't usually shoot passengers in my car. So.
Have you taken an Uber?
Oh yeah.
Have you done? How about you, Henry? Have you taken an Uber?
Not yet.
No, you've never used an Uber. What about a Lyft? Dude, it's the wave of the future.
I've been on taxis, and the last time I was on a taxi was $43, and I've never been on a taxi.
Well, yeah, so Uber's actually half the amount of a taxi.
Now they're inching their way up.
Oh,
Uber and Lyft are inching their way up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's starting to get a little more.
But still, they're going to have to compete with each other, so I think they're gonna regulate each other and keep each other's prices down.
Really, you've never taken, but you have a vehicle. You've always had a vehicle. You just drive a vehicle, and somehow you managed to keep a license.
I mean, I've always been able to drive.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you haven't forgotten how to drive.
Yeah, I've never forgotten how to drive.
You said legalities involved with that driving are up in the air.
These are just details. These are just details we don't think about.
Apparently, if you don't pay your insurance for a certain amount of time,
like one day. This state will shut your insurance down for anything.
I did not realize that.
And one thing I've noticed about this state.
I mean, once I found out, I fixed it. But.
Just to digress for a moment, one thing I've learned about this state, should we tell people where we are? I don't want
that's fine.
I don't want to start being stalked.
It's fine.
I
would actually want someone to stalk me. I'd be flattered.
Do you? You want somebody to stalk you?
At first, I'd be flattered. I'd be like, "Oh, you care about me so much that you want to stalk." But after a while, yeah. I mean, when you start doing the boombox, at the the window,
I mean, maybe if they're rich,
ever into that.
Why don't they just give you money and stuff?
Yeah, Joe, that's fine. Yeah.
Don't ever not say anything.
Yeah.
and Peter Gabriel
I know.
on the fucking boombox. You piece of...
Yeah.
Anyway, so no, would you want a male or female stalker? But no.
Either way.
So see, that's how desperate for attention you are.
Yeah.
You know.
We talked about narcissism earlier, how you have to have a little bit of narcissism to be able to do something like this. You know, just to assume that someone cares about your opinion. You know, so I mean, yeah, stalkers are cool.
I'm sorry, what were you saying about your opinion? All right.
Somebody out there cares.
But no, thing I've noticed about this state here in Florida is that they have like everything automated when it comes to taking things away, doing things bureaucratically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like your license. It's all on a system. As soon as your insurance is paid, the insurance computer kicks it out to the DMV. The DMV just then sends you a notice. You've got 30 days. Blah blah blah. And then and no human interaction involved. But then you got to go pay for something at the DMV, and it's like, what am I paying for?
Yeah.
There's no labor involved with most of the stuff that's going on that I need to pay for. Taxes, I get it. Taxes.
Yeah.
Love you, hate you. But anyway, so it's the media. I'll give them credit for blowing Uber out on this one.
Yeah.
Without any justification, but I'll also say, I don't know. Police the same thing. How do you charge murder? Hopefully they'll figure it out. There's going to be there'll be another update, say around 6:30, 7 o'clock tonight. We'll probably get like a whole different revision of half of the story.
Yeah.
And new things will come to light that we didn't know, and it'll explain so much more. But hey, if you've never taken an Uber, you never know when that driver wants to shoot you, because it's quite easy. You might want to shoot him. Sometimes they just don't shut up. Most of the time, for me, it's the radio. Dude, you got to change the station.
A lot of the time, you're supposed to be able. I think they have to change the music to whatever you want, but like that's an awkward thing. I wouldn't want to do that. It's like it's your car. You're in the car all day. I'm in here for like 10 minutes. Whatever. I'll listen to your elevator music.
That's what happened. I bet you. He let the passenger in the front seat, and that son of a bitch touched his radio.
Yeah.
That's what.
Not only that, but he played "What's New, Pussycat" 12 times in a row.
So he's pretty fun. But I still want to know about the stalker, John.
My
so
hypothetical
you're
stalker.
Equal opportunity stalker. It doesn't matter if it's a male or a female.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. So what if it's a sex crazed stalker versus a kill stalker?
Ooh, I'd rather be killed by a male stalker. I know this is sexist of me, but I think they can do a better job.
Wow.
I mean, just think about it. Men on average are stronger. If I get bludgeoned by something,
I would say you opened a can of worms with that. That would be a typically male fishing reference,
right? Yeah.
Anyway, so
sex crazed. Yeah, obviously, I would want a sex crazed female stalker. Obviously, if there's any out there.
You don't have the rape fantasy.
No.
To where it could be a guy. No. Most women do.
Well, okay, but I'm not a woman, so I mean.
That's your story. Stick with it.
Yeah. Well,
Speaking of women,
until we start doing video,
Speaking of women,
ERA,
the Equal Rights Amendment.
Oh yeah,
it is one state away from actually being written into the Constitution of the United States of America, and we need one more state to ratify it. Illinois came on board.
Illinois. So this is actually really interesting because I've never heard of this until today, until you brought it up earlier. So
it can tell me what you mean. You haven't heard of what, ERA?
Yeah, I haven't heard of this amendment. An attempt at passing an amendment
for your millennial brain.
Yeah.
Let me put it into context.
Absolutely.
Wave 2 feminism.
Okay.
That's where ERA was really focused on. Now, that's not to say that they haven't been tossing this around since 1923. This is how long it's taken to get 37 states out of 50 on board with equal rights for women.
Right.
Right? And now my problem is it's coming a little too late.
Yeah, because I
In
mean, I'm not sure.
context.
It seems like it's redundant. It's because I mean, it seems like we already have that, you know, in this country, and so to add an amendment to the Constitution, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. It just seems like it's a bit redundant. I mean, if that's what they want to do,
Well,
I mean, obviously, I believe in the message, equal rights.
well, this goes back to the social justice warriors that we've spoken about, that we often talk about.
Yeah,
It has to say the specific words. Everything now, and I am going to defer to, a lot of it started with your generation, in my opinion. It has evolved in the youngest generation, Generation Z, I believe, where this literal context of what is said is the most important thing. So if the Constitution were to say equal rights for humans,
yeah.
everyone would be up in arms because it doesn't say female humans. It doesn't say black humans.
I mean, I don't know. I
Hispanic
disagree. I think
humans.
that they would agree with humans more because it does include everyone, including like non-binary genders and transgender and all that kind of stuff. I think you would be surprised that the millennial left, if you want to call them that, would agree with human more.
Well, let me ask you this: if you
Even Dragon Ken. Yeah, that's funny. That's
even if you put it in there as humans, there is a need for literal specificity in the younger generations that boggles my mind. For instance, like you just said, adding the Equal Rights Amendment to the Constitution seems redundant.
Yeah.
Because in your mind it's already there, but you have a slightly broader mind than a lot of your generation, which is the only reason why I tolerate you, I believe.
Right, of course.
Because you're capable of having
Couldn't
a
be
discussion
my
about
stunning
it.
good looks and
Right.
charismatic attitude.
Right. Oh, God. But, it's this idea that we have to label. It goes back to all the intersectionalism and the individualism and the labeling. Ultimately, the labeling.
Yeah.
If you don't call it out specifically, then it leaves it open to interpretation. Well, this group doesn't see this group as human. They don't agree that they're human. They believe they're animals. So, do they get where's the decision that goes there? Every little thing you can think of, your trolls are going to be out there. Whether they're political trolls, celebrity trolls, or you and me trolls, it's all going to be out there, and it's going to muddy up the issue. But it is what we need, and that's what surprises me. That okay, why are we not ratifying ERA to be ultimately inclusive?
Yeah.
And but then you've got to go along with getting every state back on board with the new idea
which
of
would
what
be a
ERA,
complete pain in the ass.
because the Equal Rights Amendment, just the name of it itself is all encompassing. It doesn't say female to me, except for my knowledge of when it was really vocal.
Right. Back in the 70s. I believe you already you were like 60 or 70, right, by then?
No, 32.
Oh, okay. All right. Do we have anything else? Do we have anything else on this topic?
Well, I mean, so
want to get through?
I mean, the only question I have is, does this speak to our cultural, our societal evolution that we're still discussing this? That after all these decades, this is still waiting on states, waiting on Americans to ratify the Constitution with something so basic, because there's where the specificity of our current generations gets into it, is that we need to change what the Constitution says anyway.
Yeah.
They don't believe it's got to be amended for this group and that group and this amendment. We've got affirmative action and all of these things. Because somehow people interpret everything that's written in the Constitution as only allowing white privilege. Everybody else that needs rights has to have it amended into the Constitution.
Yeah, I think that's why humans covers it, or at least American citizens. If you just put it as American citizens, I know it's going to piss off a lot of people, who want illegal immigrants to have the same rights. But I mean, if you're not a citizen, then and you have the same rights, then what does citizenship mean?
I think it makes me. It's mostly it saddens me that we are still that. What's the word I'm looking for? That primitive in our society that we're still trying to figure out how to give equal rights to all humans in this country. Yeah. It doesn't matter who you are. I mean, how have we not evolved as a society past that at this point? With everything that we know, with everything that we can do, this is sad, that we're getting into this.
So kind of the point of the Constitution and the way that our government is set up in the first place is to have things move slowly, very slowly and gradually to ensure that we're making the right decision. So, I mean, I understand why it would move super, I understand why it would move, super slow. Even though I don't know if it should take 40 years, but...
it's taken more than 40 years.
I'm saying since the amendment was written up, yeah.
Well, after suffrage, that's when first, 1923.
Well, it'd be more than, it'd be closer to 50. It'd be more than 50 years.
What, since
right?
suffrage? 1920?
No, 72.
72? Oh, yeah. So we're getting close to 50 years.
Yeah, close to 50. Yeah.
But all the way back to 1923, that's the discussion that's been had. So we're talking almost 100 years. We're still almost 100 years later having to discuss equal rights for women, let alone everybody else in the country. And
right.
And I find that sad. It's the amount of years that it takes to get something done.
That's kind of by design, though, just to make sure that we're making the right decisions. That was the whole point. With how things move so quickly nowadays, I don't know if that's a good idea anymore. I'll have to think more on that and approach it another time, because I want to agree that we need to do something to expedite processes. However, I agree with the original premise that we want to make sure that we're not just moving too quickly and irrationally, and we end up fucking things up even more than they already are.
Well, again, I think for me, it goes back to that literal specificity.
Yeah,
I don't care if it.
I would be fine with putting equal rights for all American citizens. That includes everyone who's a citizen.
It's a tough pill to swallow. Just from my aspect, because I've seen the movement and where it's been and where it's gone, and at this present time, I know that my mindset then and now was the same. What's wrong with women having the same rights as men?
Well, yeah,
that's what
nothing
I always
at
thought
all.
when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I would see these things talking about it. I'm like, how is that not a thing?
Yeah, how does that not make
not
perfect
existing,
sense?
Right?
Yeah,
and even as I got older with races and things like that, and it shouldn't take us 100 years. It shouldn't take us 50 years. 30 years to get these things done.
At the time when it was a new idea, I can understand why it would take a while to catch hold. But it's been since probably the 60s that it's been a mainstream opinion that women should have the same rights as men. So I don't know why it would take long after that, but I understand why it would when it's a new idea.
Well,
a lot of people don't like change. They don't like to, and I caught myself doing that too.
Did you have trouble moving out of your parents' house?
I did. Yeah.
Was that like one of those big life changes that really fucked with your head?
Yeah.
Did it fuck with your head bad enough that you just wouldn't move?
No, it fucked with my head enough to where I got my shit together when I was kicked out of my parents' house and learned how to survive on my own.
You were kicked out.
Yeah.
Right. But I was kicked out of my parents' house as well. I was 16 years old, but I kind of brought that on by myself by being a teenager that didn't do anything wrong.
See, I was like 22.
Imagine you're 30.
Yeah.
Imagine you're 30 and your parents literally have to take you to court to get you to get the fuck out.
Yeah, that's a good segue to our next topic. Oh man, it's almost like you knew.
It's like I had a reader board in front of me.
Right.
Where's Henry when you need him? He can do these things. Oh, hi, Henry.
So let's read this article. This is going to be a fun one.
Well, just because I love the comic relief of it all, if you will. You want me to contextualize all of this? Just kind of summarize this whole thing, because this kid is just—he's your generation, pal, and now this is another reason why I pretend to appreciate you, is because you are not your typical millennial.
Right, yeah. I'm definitely not. I mean, what's funny is...
so Michael Rotunda...
Which is a great name. I love his last name.
Rotundo.
Yeah, his last name is
It would be better if
amazing.
he were fat. I'm just
He
is a millennial
He
who
is.
has...
I'm pretty sure. He looked like a fat neckbeard. He was.
I don't think he was quite that big. I think you
saw
can see him in the image.
Look at him. He's big.
Thick like you. He's not fat.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I think he's bigger than me.
He hasn't hit the point of obesity first, I believe.
No,
but
I'm
anyway,
not saying he's
Michael
obese,
Rotundo is a millennial that lives up in New York, and he is finally, now at the 1st of June, leaving his parents' home and moving out. He had to call the cops on his dad before he did.
Naturally.
And of course, naturally.
But why, though? Let's hear the reasoning.
Because of his son's Legos.
Legos.
Because of Legos. So this is what the headlines are. Dad over Legos. Okay, yes, we're gonna kind of, we're kind of sensationalize it. But the truth is, it was over his son's Legos. He's got an 8-year-old son.
Yeah, he looks kind of fat.
But, but of course, in true millennial fashion, Dad says, well, let me go and I'll go down in the basement and, tell me specifically what you want. I'll go get it. The son didn't like it. He wanted to go in and get him damn self. So instead, his dad goes to get the stuff. And while he's doing that, the boy calls the cops on his dad. Really? There's some respect for you. There's where I think millennials are lacking, is in respect. If you look at this kid, how many times did they? 5 different times.
I think it was 5.
They tried to evict him,
and they even wrote a letter, telling him what he needs to do to get himself to sort himself out. What he needs to do to get a job. That they're going to help him do it. Right. That was the biggest thing. And they didn't say outright, but they seemed to imply that they were going to pay for a place for him to be, or at least help him pay for a place until he can get on his feet. Which, I mean, that sounds awesome, right? I mean, you get your own space and your parents are at least going to help pay for it. But I mean, like I said, I don't think they outright said it. I think that it was implied for sure.
Well, here's where some of that sense of entitlement, I think, comes in. Millennial privilege, if you want to call it, if you want to put a new spin on it, is that he called the police to find out if his parents could actually kick him out of the house. Now, this is his words. Yeah. And apparently whoever he talked to with the police said, no, they can't. Now, I don't know, bogus or not, somebody, that's just wrong information. I mean, it's not like the boy's name is on the deed, but, it's this, I think he's got this mindset, you've told me this is my home all my life, so you can't kick me out of my home.
Yeah.
Even though you own it, you paid for it, you supplied it for me my entire life. I have no respect for that, or no, it's just no appreciation for that to leave when you ask me to. I'm just going to continue living here against your wishes.
Yeah, which is fucking ridiculous.
What kind of what? And I read, I can't quote the exact source. We'd have to look it up, but. The trend is now trending towards an older age when children are moving away from home. It's starting to move closer to 30.
I can see
that they're not, before they're actually going out on their own. And I can only imagine that it's because of this, you know me.
Sense of entitlement.
It's a non-controlled, it's non-controlled households as far as you want to call it corporal punishment or proper repercussions for actions.
Yeah, I mean any kind of
consequences,
repercussion, right?
and the wrong consequences are being laid out to where kids are like, living at home with mom and dad's not bad. It's free rent. Back when I was growing up, you got whooping. You got whoopings.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And you wanted to get away from whoopings, right?
Right.
That was the motivation for kids to get out of the house because they had a strict discipline. And this was not specific to any one region. It wasn't specific to any one race. It wasn't specific to any religion. It was specific across, just broad across the board. Spankings were a thing.
Yeah.
And it worked. And kids wanted to get the fuck out of the house and go live their life, but they had the ability to do so with a certain level of respect for authority. There was a general idea in this country what respect for authority was, getting out on your own, respect for your parents, those kind of things. I think a lot of that's gone away with the wrong consequences for actions when kids are growing up, to where they don't feel any need to leave the house.
Yeah.
Why do they need to leave? There's, it's not a toxic environment as they want to,
Right.
if that's how somebody would like to label it, that's how they label it now, in a sense. It wasn't that households were violent. Households were strict. And strict living raised strict kids. And kids went out there with some responsibility. I'm not saying it was wholesale.
Right.
There were ne'er-do-wells.
Oh yeah. Of course.
Not that we called them ne'er-do-wells.
Right. It's a little older than you even. I think.
Right. It harkens back to an older time.
Right.
But I don't know. What do you think? I mean, this is your generation. This is it's a precursor to this new generation that's doing this more and more.
Yeah. So, as far as I know, he, I don't know. He's somebody. He's probably one of these, basement dwelling guys who, doesn't really do much other than go online and play games or something. I don't know if that's true. I guess I don't have any evidence for that other than how he looks.
Well,
but and the whole Legos thing. That's to call the police for that is exceedingly petty. There's no need for that. You work it out.
He'll play.
Or you buy your son new Legos. I know he didn't have money, but from what I saw in this article, he was offered $1,100 to move out.
Well, you understand why they wanted him out, right? Or you know the subtext?
No,
there?
I don't know
why. The
why.
subcontext there is that he no longer has visitation with his son, but they do. So if he's living there, they can't see their grandson.
Gotcha.
Unless he's gone.
Do you know why he doesn't have visitation anymore? Why he lost
I don't know the specifics of
Okay.
it, but he talked about it a little bit. But it's it's I kind of got the feeling that it's a whole mix of things. That entitlement. That if I can't see him, you can't see him. Kind of spitefulness.
Yeah, well, like I said, he's exceedingly petty. It seems that everything that has happened with this story, and I know we haven't talked about much of the story, but like the kind of the implications around it. But from what I've seen from the rest of the story, he's very, very petty, and he uses kind of like a Saul Alinsky model of blaming your opponent for everything that you're guilty of.
Sure.
And so he was talking about in one interview, that he thinks that everything his parents have been doing have been an attack, right? So that's how he views it, as opposed to, you're 30, get out there on your own. They've been obviously very patient with him.
So now, and then here, this is the next thing that always comes to my mind is these sound like very responsible parents. Right?
Well,
they
it sounds like they're trying too little too late, is what it sounds like.
Well, they have a home. They have a life. They
Yeah.
Right? Okay,
right.
So these look like responsible people.
Sure, yeah.
And it is my guess that if he's been there for, the better part of 30 years, he should have, absorbed some of that responsibility, that mindset through osmosis, just being
Yeah.
around responsible people, he would have definitely probably been being taught and spoken to about responsibility, especially in the later years of his life when they realized, fuck, he's not leaving, right?
Yeah.
But it's it's why I see. I feel that younger generations, the next two generations currently coming out, are choosing not to be responsible. They're picking and choosing what lessons they learn. They don't. Again, it speaks to the repercussions. It speaks to that kind of thing. Why are you picking and choosing what you learn, as opposed to taking everything and using it all together?
I mean, to be fair, it took me a while to learn, personal responsibility and things like that. Just because it actually took me being out on my own to realize that, everything that was happening to me was my fault and not some, outward force, some outer force, stopping me from doing the things I wanted to do. That it was me getting in my own way. And once I realized that really helped me out. I was able to keep a job for more than 6 months. I was able to stand on my own and have, money, being able to save money, things like that. I mean, it's a lesson. I was 22 when I moved out.
Oh, okay. So
but it took me even longer.
Move out too. Technically,
yeah.
Like from my day, that's long term, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was 17, 18 years old. You were either going to the military or you were looking to move out. There was an expectation that you were going to move out.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right. I didn't go to
right.
college. So
There was
I didn't really
it was an expected thing that was like the precursor to you getting the hell out of the house because you're 18 now, right?
Yep.
But when what about responsibility at home? What about the responsibility for yourself, the things that you were doing? Were you learning that? Was it being taught to you? And did you understand it enough to where you could go out into the real world and start to apply the concept of responsibility, or versus ignoring everything that's been given to you?
Yeah. So my dad and I were always at odds with each other. And so I would kind of mostly just ignore the things that he said. But, I mean, I would remember it. So later on, when I saw the things happening that he said would happen, I was like, oh, shit. I guess, the old man was right.
So so his plan is to spend a week at an Airbnb in Syracuse. So he's got money to stay a week.
Well, they might have gave him that $1,100 we were talking about a minute ago.
After that, he's going to move in with a distant cousin. It was not immediately clear if he was going to look for his own place.
I mean, whatever. I mean, I don't care about this story much more than
It speaks It speaks to certain parts of millennials that are certain sections of millennials that are out there. It's but it speaks to larger things that go on with the generation. It doesn't matter if it's and again, this is a generation that needs everything literally spelled out for him. I mean, this kid's got he had to go to court. He had to be taken to court, right? So it kind of ties in with the equal rights amendment that we talked about with. It's got to be literal. You have to spell it out so specifically.
Yeah.
So even something like feminism, when it's coming in, you've got to lay down exactly. And so then you look at what are you talking about? And it leads into these cultural conflicts. Now that we have to look at things like feminism as a part of the cultural war and racism and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
These isms becoming cultural.
Yeah.
But and feminism, I have a hard one swallowing anymore because again, it's taken a wrong turn and it's hurting a lot of people right now.
Yeah. It's hurting people, you say.
I do. I think it is. It's.
I think it's harmful for mental health for sure. But speaking of mental health, we have a BuzzFeed article here, and if you can believe it, BuzzFeed. So we have here 11 simple things men can do for feminism. Now notice it doesn't say what men can do for women, right?
Right.
What men can do for feminism. So let's see. Number 1, don't be an activist in the streets and a sexist in the sheets.
Oh, can I interrupt you for a second?
Please do.
Let's make one thing perfectly clear, because this is one of those areas that's just going to get everybody blowing up if you're not careful. We're going to have a conversation about feminism, and it needs to be understood that I know I have no issue with equal rights.
Of course not.
For every woman out there.
Yeah.
Everything that a man can do, a woman should do.
Or at least try. Or at
and-
least
and-
have the opportunity
Right,
to do
and
so.
I want to make sure that
you should have the
triggers in
opportunity.
that bullshit in wave 1,
Yeah.
phase 1, and phase 1 feminism, and phase 3 feminism as it is now.
Huge difference.
I want to harken back to phase 2, where we are talking about equal rights, equal opportunity of outcome, equal opportunity of everything. Is it outcome? Not.
No.
Yes.
Outcome is the Marxist one.
Right. Your other ism or ist. What is it?
Opportunity?
Of
No, it's
outcome of opportunity. Your mom's opportunity.
Equality of opportunity.
Equality of opportunity.
Yeah. It's equality of opportunity
versus equality.
And what third
of
wave
outcome.
wants is equality of outcome, right?
Right. All that literal specificity that I was talking about.
Well, there's
I want to
a
make sure that it's
distinction
out
between
there
the two.
I get. Of course there is. Of course there is.
You gotta
what
make
I
those
call
clear.
it is equal rights, and yes, we are both on the side of equal rights, 100% for women. Before we get into,
for everyone,
that
I'll
we
say.
might be about to say or read or do. So, flame on, as it were, as we used to say back in the day. But you've been warned. We're not actually sexist pigs.
Well,
Completely.
I think Robert is. All right, so we have here underneath this picture of, what is this picture of? Can you scroll up a little bit? Okay, weird. It's like
Cleaning products. Sponge and Windex.
Yeah, strange. Okay, so you read King Kong Theory by Virginie Despentes. I don't know who that is. I don't know what that is. And a bunch of Facebook statuses about feminism. And you're now convinced that feminism is your thing. Are we convinced that feminism is our thing? Let's read on. Let's see if they'll convince us. Stop the car. Stop. Okay. Okay. I hate the way that they fucking write things. I really hate the way that they write things.
Is it the writing or the reading?
No, it's the writing. It's the writing. The first thing you have to do is check yourself and figure out what kinds of macho behavior you're spreading with women around you.
Oh, God.
Well, let's
Did they use
see.
the word macho?
Oh yeah.
Fuck you. Sorry.
Goddamn. All right. Are you one of those guys who says that they help, in quotes, at home? Talk to your partner and start doing 50% of the house chores. Okay? I mean, that's fair. Do you still give your dirty laundry to your mom because it's what she's always done? Dude, please. Are you a father? Congratulations. Do you take on 50% of the childcare responsibilities? Better check that too. When a woman gets angry, do you assume it's either because she's on her period or because she needs to get laid? Wow. Go back to square one. And hey, do you think you emotionally support your girlfriend/wife as much as she supports you? Of course not. No, that would be ridiculous. She's supposed to support me. That's the whole point. Houses can't be built starting with the roof. Oh, that's a weird... Alright, whatever. There always has to be a foundation upon which to build, and there's nothing worse than being an activist in the streets and a sexist in the sheets. I suppose they're just talking about, like, practice what you preach. Kind of what they're saying. I mean, that's fair. If you're gonna be a feminist, yeah, you should probably do that shit.
Well, yeah.
I mean, if that's what you want, unless you have some other arrangement.
To be honest with you, it's one of those things. It's like,
I don't know. That's not entirely unreasonable.
Here qualifications for what makes you a non-sexist.
Oh well,
Here's your checklist to see if you're a sexist, if you're a macho piece of shit,
right.
basically. Really?
See, I think what they
Right
usually
down the check.
do is talk about like people from your generation, where there's that clear gender role of man goes out and works and gets the money, and the woman stays home and cleans and cooks and takes care of the children.
But my generation,
But-
generation actually came up during the, we were transitioning. We were almost transitioned out of that. Of course, in the bulk, I was 68. I was born in 68.
Oh, I thought you were saying you were 68.
No, I was
Oh, you
born
were
in
68 in 72.
I was
right?
born in '68, and the women's lib movement, all of that was going on through the '70s.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you had, you had free love and make love not war and hippies and all of this other, everything was about peace, love, and harmony and equal rights for everybody
Yeah.
and no oppression and all this love is in the air and.
But I mean, still, I think the vast majority of people.
The sexual revolution went on at the same time, for God's sakes. So at the same time, there's a sexual revolution going on. You're going through a period of time where you're teaching men. Men are realizing, oh, women like sex just as much as men,
Yeah.
and they're willing to be just as open as men are about sex. But now it's like okay, well we found out the truth about you, but now we're not allowed to look at it, talk about it, anything. It was okay for you. You want equal rights. Well, you have the right to be open about it, and we have the right to talk about it. What the hell? What's wrong with that?
Right.
If you can talk about penises, we can talk about vaginas. Because
Little
believe me,
vagina.
women's- but I gotta go the rest of my life not talking about a vagina. I don't know. Go ahead.
All right, so yeah, let's go to the next one here. It just says listen, and there's a
To what?
dude that just says listen.
What?
Yeah, just listen.
All right, I'm listening.
One of the main issues of sexism is that we have culturally silenced women. Yeah, I'm sorry. When was the last time you were around a woman that was silent? I mean,
Well, now, now think about the context.
Yeah, and
in
given men full control of the microphone for far too long. You know what? That's actually a fair point because we're all three men standing here and we have control of the microphone. Meanwhile, all the women are inside.
I think you're reaching for a premise.
I mean, maybe. The first step to supporting feminism is to listen to what women have to say about their own oppression. So get comfortable and listen up.
Okay, so
Number 3, shut up.
women.
Shut up, Robert.
Women are
Shut
still
up.
oppressed?
Shut up.
Am I correct?
Shut up.
Women are still oppressed.
Would you tell what oncologist your opinions about cancer? It's also not necessary for you to heroically decide to play the role of devil's advocate, Robert, in a subject that does not, what a coincidence, affect you in the slightest. Robert. And please don't interrupt us every 5 seconds to try to distinguish yourself from other men, quote unquote. Yes, we already know that not all men are like that. But if you care more about proving that you're not like those other men, than you do about truly listening to and understanding our thoughts and opinions on the matter, well, then you're not much different from the rest anyway.
So right there
Yeah.
is my problem, and that's this is what I've told you time and time again. That's why things like these conversations are important, is because feminism, this idea of shut the fuck up, men, you don't have any right to be in this conversation.
Yeah.
Feminism affects men and women alike. I don't care what you say, what you do, it is going to have an impact on both men and women.
Yeah.
Now, just because you don't agree with the opinion doesn't mean you're a sexist.
Right.
If I don't agree with the any of the extreme activism. I don't agree with
the radical feminism.
the radical feminism. That's the word. There you go. I don't agree with the level it has gotten to these days. It can get to.
Yeah.
And things that people go at each other's throats about and the way that they do it. Men don't need to shut up. All you really want men to do is not be the only ones making the decisions. So,
Right.
when they tell you, when you hear feminists say this, when they say shut up, you don't know anything about this. Well, yeah, some of us do. We've been listening and we've been following this. We understand. We've been hearing about it for decades. And not all of us are the ones sitting around saying the law should be this or the law shouldn't be changed.
So, something I wanted to say about it as well is whenever someone brings up issues that men have that women generally don't, such as disproportionate custody of children going to the mother rather than the father, and basically no rights for men when it comes to that. Yeah, exactly. And so as soon as you bring something like that up, it's always like, oh, well, feminism is going to fix that. It's like, well, if feminism is going to fix that, men's problems, then shouldn't men be part of the conversation as well?
Right.
I mean,
because again, this is that those areas where it does lean gender specific to women.
Yeah.
You can't get a good solid conversation with women about that. Because, of course, again, you don't have a point of reference. Well, fuck you, I'm a father. I have a point of reference. I've had this happen to me.
Yeah.
I know what it's like. I spent 8 years as a caregiver for my children and walked away in the divorce because of the difference in who had the money versus who did not, and walked away in the divorce with minimal visitation.
Yeah.
8 years as the primary caregiver. 8 years. And that didn't count for anything. But were the genders reversed?
Oh, yeah.
Would the turnout, even with her not being able to afford that and me being able to, would it have swung my way? Would I have been able to take those
probably
children
not.
without
No.
having to prove she was unfit?
No, because you would have had to pay her to do it. You would have had to give her, child support.
Mm-hmm. There's the whole, and that's the thing. I was the primary caregiver, so my work was minimal that I was doing because most of it was at home. I get that, but yeah, I wound up being the one that pays child support too.
Oh yeah.
It's like, really,
right?
How,
but you're not supposed to be in this conversation
this way.
Yeah. So let's go on to the next one. After we got 4, face your buddies. Right. So you've listened to a lot of women. We've done that now. You've begun to understand what this is all about. You've realized that everything's shit. I realized that a long time ago. And now you have some suggestions to make about what women should do or say in certain situations. Nope! Wrong. Now's the time to do the actual dirty work. Face your colleagues. Yeah, that guy who constantly shares pics of naked girls in your group chat. The one who calls any woman above a size 4 fat. The one who makes a woman feel uncomfortable at the bar when she's clearly having a good time with her friends. The one who says his boss just needs to be fucked. Or the one who, the one who make small, ha-ha, very offensive, hee-hee jokes, ha-freaking ha, about assaulting women. Nope. Is there more down below this advertisement, or is that's the entire thing?
Yeah.
Obviously what it's saying is that you have to tell your friend, you have to police your friends' words and their actions. You have to tell them what they can and can't do. That these things are inappropriate. Which sure they might be, especially if you're sharing naked pictures. I guess if they're women then that's a little more inappropriate. But if it's like a porn star or something, it would be up to the group to decide if that was appropriate or not.
So I'm going to throw out there a little bit of the double standard / hypocrisy of what that is saying.
Oh, yeah.
Shut up, but defend us.
Right,
don't have an old school mindset that you're the provider and protector, but defend feminism. Yeah. To anybody who says something wrong, to stand up, defend it, fight our battle. That's Shut up. Now go fight our battle. Shut up.
Yeah.
Don't protect us. We don't need you.
Protect us.
Fight our battle.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. In any kind of like Twitter, thing with a feminist, you will always get the white knights who will come in and defend, the woman. Yeah.
I think it's and then they and knowing that deep down inside, most feminists are actually just given a ghost clap that has no real heart behind it because they don't give a shit what a man has to say, whether he's on their side or not.
Oh yeah, they actually hate men. They hate male feminists.
He needs to shut up.
Yeah,
he's a man.
But he knows it though, at least. So,
but
hopefully he will.
If somebody else speaks out against women, you defend us.
No, damn right.
You get up in their face.
All right, let's go to the next one. use your privilege for the right cause. Unfortunately, every time a woman points out a sexist attitude, like the fact that your mom is always the one in charge of preparing everything for a family meal, she's considered to be exaggerating. What are you saying, woman? Or even rude. You're so rigid. What? Who fucking says that? Whatever. What if you used your privilege for something more positive, like pointing out that these sexist attitudes to other men and getting on the side of the woman? I mean, if she deserves for me to be on her side, then I'll be on her side. I mean, if she's the only one who knows how to cook, I mean, it doesn't mean that you can't help out in other ways. I don't have a problem with that if you want to,
But is not misandry just as bad as misogyny?
No.
Misandry is just as
Not.
bad, in my opinion, because you can't stand there and say, we want equal rights for women and all men are suck. They have
Right.
If you have a penis, you're a bad person.
Right.
You
are.
You can't stand there and say those two things.
Yeah, you can.
So
It's called
if you
doublethink.
want equal rights as men, in my opinion, if you want to be equal to men, but you say men are shit, well,
Then
guess what?
you're
You want to
shit.
be equal to a piece of shit.
Yeah, they don't want equality though. It's all about superiority. Yeah, I guess let's move on to the next one. Stop judging women. So you can't judge anybody now, apparently. You can just, unless they're a man. Every time you have a strong opinion about a woman, check it by asking yourself if the opinion is rooted in sexist ideas that have been perpetuated throughout your education. In general, don't comment on her appearance, even if you think it's a good comment. Women suffer an incredible amount of social pressure about our bodies. When we women deviate from the mold that society determines, we tend to receive harsh criticism. If a woman doesn't want to have children, she's selfish and has no soul. Damn. If she wants a relationship, she's old-fashioned. But if she wants the opposite, she's a slut. Do not perpetuate this system. What this sounds like is just different people having different expectations of you, and you're never going to meet everyone's expectations, so why don't you just not give a fuck what they say rather than trying to stop them from saying it? Seems very simple.
But here's what amazes me, is that most of these things, and this is the victim mentality of feminism, that is all men out there that are throwing this perfect woman up on billboards and in magazines and this, that, and the other. It's all men doing it. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you this. Mm-hmm. There's just as many women out there that believe sex sells, whether it's in their own personal life or whether it's in their business life.
Not only that, if there's going to be someone judging the way a woman looks or the way a woman's relationship is going, it's going to be another woman. They're going to be the ones who do it. They're going to be the ones who are like, oh, have you heard that bitch fucking Jennifer? She's, you see that dress she was wearing? What a slut. That's women doing it to other women. That's not, men don't really care.
Right. And most of the cattiness is about, that, I guess it's, one of the things I saw, I think it was, I want to say it was John Oliver, it was Bill Maher, one of the two. He was watching their show. And they were talking about, lesbians and, like how so many of them are just not even attracted. The ones that are really speaking out and yelling and screaming about, this perfect body image issue and this, that, and the other.
Oh, yeah, they're all
this.
totally unfuckable.
Right.
They're all absolutely unfuckable.
And they're pissed about it.
Right.
But
and they don't do anything to help themselves by being all this contrary, the half-shaved head with the, purple hair and, massive belly with with their stomach hanging out and, they're it's
right.
You're not helping yourself.
Just because
I'm sure somebody will still fuck you, but
just because there's guys in high school in your socially formative years, there's guys in high school that none of them are fucking you. You're still getting picked on by all the females around you.
Yeah,
because there's quite a bit of women out there that are purely obsessed with their looks, and to victimize the male patriarchy for that anymore is wholly ludicrous.
Yeah.
Because it's, we don't live in a society where you're forced into that.
Right.
And peer pressure and social pressure and whatever. You have the right and the choice to make that decision.
Yeah.
It exists. Those rights, equality exists, and you sit around and say that it's not there.
Right.
Demand it. Demand it in that situation if you need to. Hey, Doesn't anybody here think I'm pretty? No.
Right.
Who
Whose
do
fault
you
is that?
argue with?
Right.
What? Demand the answers. If that's what it takes for you to feel better about yourself, because I can promise you, there's somebody out there that'll fuck somebody else. There's somebody out there that'll fuck anything.
Right.
I mean,
absolutely.
so it's not like these women aren't fuckable. They just, they tell themselves they got to go this direction.
Let's, I agree with that. Let's move on, though.
Speaking of opinions that make us uncomfortable.
Whenever a woman expresses an opinion that makes you feel uncomfortable, try to understand why it makes you feel that way instead of getting all defensive or belittling her. Let's see what they have to say, because I do agree with that. I mean, with anyone, not just a woman. We all have sexist attitudes. They're just a product of the education that we've received and the societies within which we grew up. Checking oneself for these attitudes is a constant task within feminism. But hey, maybe if you're finding it challenging or difficult, it's because you're learning.
Wait,
Aww.
so they really need to clear. Now, see, here's where that literal specificity would come in. Product of the education that we've received and the society. So
to feminism, though, this is a given. That's a given that's what.
But is it speaking to education itself, like going to school
and
as a
school,
child? So were there,
and like the people around you, like your parents or your family members around you, that are like indoctrinating you into patriarchy, I suppose. That's what I'm gonna guess.
But my generation, the thing that we brought to be were all the self-help books. That was what was big in my generation. Self-help books, this, that, and the other, how to get your mind together, think positive and do all these things. Soup for the soul, precursors type of stuff. So it was all out there, and it's there. The knowledge is out there. You don't have to be oppressed anymore. It goes back again. It's like, we all have sexist attitude. I don't have a sexist attitude. If you think you're better than me because of your gender, well, I'm going to say something. If you think you're better than her because of your gender, well, I'm going to tell you. It's not about being better. It's about understanding your roles. And you know how I am, John. I go back to the base human instinct, the nature of our species. Yes, there are roles. You can't deny it. It is. It's one of those things that's been a product of science and understanding for years.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why, men are typically larger and stronger is, because, one, we were the hunters in the, in the hunter-gatherer kind of tribal thing. And women, are the ones who give birth, right? So when they're pregnant, they need to be protected. They need to be, they have something valuable that's worth protecting. And so men need to be able to protect them when they're in that vulnerable state, because they can't do it themselves. Not when they're 6 or 7 months pregnant, 8 months pregnant. Mm-hmm. It'd be very difficult for them to protect themselves, and they're doing other things anyway. They're building a person. So that's where that came from, right? But in our current society, we don't have to defend the cave from a bear anymore.
Yes, but
so I don't know what I'm saying is, though, that if a woman wants to do any job, she should have the opportunity to do that, and as long as she is qualified, and that's the most important part. You shouldn't just get a job because you're a woman. You should get the job because you're qualified.
Well, it's this it's basically this. For me, it goes back to when they define all these things that macho men. When they make these references and things.
Toxic masculinity.
Men learn, like, if you really want to learn how to pick up women, right? The basic mindset is going to fall to the instinctual basics of the species, because I don't care how far past that first upright walking individual there was, it hasn't gone away. It's still there. Mm-hmm. And both men and women play on those basic instincts as necessary when it serves their purposes.
Right.
Women will do it just as quickly as men.
Oh, yeah.
There are women out there that are just like, oh, I need someone to support me and take care of me and this, that, and the other, depending on what point they might be in their life. They've already gone through a phase of, oh, I can do anything I want. I can do it all for myself. Now they're in a phase where it's like, okay, I'm going to play the submissive role and look for somebody who will provide and protect.
Yeah, I mean, sorry,
saying.
honey, but your cats aren't going to provide for you.
Right.
You know? Alright, let's move on, though. We're almost done. Don't undervalue women's problems or say that we're exaggerating. No matter how hard you try to put yourself in our place, you'll never be able to experience what women experience on a daily basis. For that reason, don't belittle our problems. If a woman complains to you about the problem of street harassment, don't say it's a compliment. To you, these issues are the exception, but to us, they're the norm. So, how often do you think, because they mention it here, how often do you think woman is catcalled
All the time.
on a day-to-day basis?
Every day.
One woman
Every day.
every day, you think so?
Every single day. Yes.
Every single day.
And understand, one of the things that this is not just it's not necessarily because they're men. I think a lot of it has to do with it's going to revolve around the culture that an individual male who does that was brought up in. What was their environment like? This isn't like this is widespread amongst men. And it's it's this expectation again. It's it makes men look to be the bad guys that are all that's all we sit around and do is that we objectify women.
Oh yeah.
As a whole, I don't think men objectify women.
No.
It's just yes, we come from a patriarchal time where much of the world's societies were.
Yeah.
Hello, it's the world been doing this for a long damn time all over the damn place.
That's true.
Many places still do very effectively, and okay, it's wrong. Whatever. I get it, but it's their societies, and we have this patriarchal society, but that established laws and rules. And now instead of just again ratifying it to where we're all equal as humans, it's got to be we've got to be up in arms to make sure women have it. And now it's taking all these evil twists, to where women feel belittled if you don't take her problem seriously. So but here's the one little piece of the thing that I think, and call it a conspiracy, but they spent much time telling us stop giving us advice. We just want you to listen. That men just fucking stopped talking about it. And now they sit around and think that now that we're not speaking or giving them advice, we don't give a shit and we're belittling what's going on with them. Or we verbally belittle it because, we want to talk about it.
Right.
First you tell us to shut up and then you tell us don't belittle us. Don't, what the fuck do we say? We need a script.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I agree with that. Number 9. Care for your masculinity and the issues caused by the toxic societal model of masculinity. Wait, can you scroll back up? I think they mentioned masculinity twice. They did.
Right. Care for your masculinity.
And the issues caused by the toxic
societal model of masculinity. So care for your individual masculinity.
And the societal.
And then that way that's being caused by the toxic overarching.
All right. Look, just between us, I'm not into feminism so that men can feel free to cry, in quotes, or talk about their feelings, also in quotes. To clarify, I think it sucks that we live under a system that forces men to be strong, manly, and powerful, and that tells us that a sensitive man is weak. But honestly, I'm more worried about femicides, sexist violence, rapes, the salary gap. Usually it's called the wage gap. That's weird that they would call it the salary gap, but whatever. Abortion, problem caused by the contraceptive pill, work harassment, and having to constantly look behind my back when I walk home in the dark late at night. It's up to you, as men, to break down the stereotypes that society has imposed upon your masculinity. It's not my job, it's yours. Enjoy. What do you think about that? Any comments?
Well, I will say that a lot of those things that I see there really don't speak to this toxic masculine environment in our society. In fact, I would hazard the argument that since the 70s, that much of our society has started leaning more to emasculating men as a whole.
Yeah,
you need to have feelings. You need to do more around the house. You need to do this and the other. This has been being preached for decades.
Oh yeah.
And the problem is even when men were starting to try and take on roles and be more feminine, female friendly, as it were, less masculine, if you want to call it that. Like myself, I was a stay-at-home dad. Stay-at-home dads, parents are not, they're still not really seen as a thing. Just like
not as much.
So it's not like we still have this society that's, again, it falls to laws that you need specificity on. You need it written in writing so you can throw it up in somebody's face.
Sure.
I mean, and then you can feel comfortable telling a man to shut up. We're equal. You shut up because we're equal. What I have to say is important. Right?
Yeah.
That's it. It falls to that to me. I get tired of this whole, women, all these things that they talk about happen to men too. I don't care what you say.
Well,
most all of it happens to men too. I've been raped.
Yeah.
I was raped all through my childhood. But, do I have to walk down the street at night and be scared? No, I am watchful that I don't get mugged.
Yeah.
That I don't get shot.
I mean, that, you saw it earlier. I carry a knife on me at all times, just in case something like that happens.
I mean, that's our society. That has nothing to do with masculinity. It's just it's called chaos. It's called crime. It's called things are going to happen. And just because we only see it sensationalized as happening to women,
doesn't mean it doesn't happen to others.
We marginalize when it happens to men.
Yeah. All right, that's true. Let's move on to number 10 here. Yield your space and understand that you're not the center of the universe. We, women, are heard less than men. Unless we become a quote-unquote desired object, we also tend to become invisible. Feminism seeks equality because we live in an unequal society. I'm sorry to tell you this if you haven't realized, but in order to reach a true egalitarian society, a determined group needs to lose power so that another group gains it. It's simple, but it's the most difficult thing. Nobody likes to lose their privilege. That's why you have to yield your space and respect women's space. See, this is evidence right here that it's about superiority. Instead of bringing themselves to the same level as men, they have to bring men down to their level, which is a very Marxist point of view. Because he talked about bringing everyone down to the lowest common denominator, being the proletariat. So everyone must lose their wealth in order for a truly equal society to happen. And that's what they're talking about here, is that everyone needs to be brought down to what their version of where women are in the societal run. And then, obviously, women are probably going to gain the power, become the new bourgeoisie. That's the point of the, proletariat overthrowing the bourgeoisie, is to become the new bourgeoisie. Well, so that's just...
Well, there's two things there. We women are heard less than men. No, you're not.
Yeah, not true at all.
Because feminism has been going on for far too many years. Now, I understand that whatever. I get your argument. I get it. Whatever. But it's not that you're not being heard. It's that, yes, there has to be an allowable amount of time for these things to evolve. So, yes, I think we could stand to have more women in politics. Right?
But they deserve to be there if they get elected, yeah.
Yeah, and there's not a lack of women in, business positions, high-level business positions.
Yeah.
But there's not enough, right? It's happening, and it's possible. Go for it. And if you think you're being oppressed, you can sue the shit out of somebody for it. But unless we become a desired object, we also tend to become invisible.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're not a desired object to 9 out of 10 men who are looking to get laid, you're not going to be a desired object to 9 out of 10 men who are looking to get laid.
Right.
It's, you can't sit here and say it's all about, what you look, because, if you really want to go with this misogynistic standpoint, the prettier a woman is, the dumber she's expected to be. That's a misogynistic standpoint.
I don't know if that's necessary. I mean, that's again, goes to...
It feeds into the whole bimbo, she's a set job.
Yes,
They're not
I don't
going to
like
take her
bimbos.
seriously.
No, I never liked an idiot.
I mean, the better looking she is, the less she's going to be taken seriously.
The less
because there's only one thing that he really wants. That's the mindset.
Well, no, I mean, that depends on the person now, too.
That's the mindset of misogyny that they expect.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So, that would be their expected.
Right. But that's not going to change just because you have the same rights as men. You don't have the right to be wanted.
Right. Absolutely, you don't.
That's
You don't
not
have
going
the right to be
change with
desired.
the equal rights. It's not going to change.
Right.
You're still going to be a 6-beer chick.
Right. Let's move on to the last one here and close out the show here. Number 11. And remember, your feminist friend isn't Google. There's a common practice in the wonderful world of the new ally, which is to constantly support your feminist friend by talking with them about feminist subjects. It's an interesting topic of conversation, don't get me wrong, and seeing you take an interest in feminism is great. But seriously, if you don't understand why it's not called egalitarianism, go to Google. If you want to understand feminist waves, go to Google. If you don't understand why a compliment can be considered offensive, you can also search it on Google. Seriously, constantly asking a feminist woman all your manly questions, or many questions, sorry. Let me start that over. Seriously, constantly asking a feminist woman all your many questions about feminism is a bit like the new iron my shirt, I'm feeling lazy. What?
Well, okay, hold on. Let me see the title again.
The title was and remember, your feminist friend, isn't Google. Right?
I'm sorry, but
that's the point of having conversations.
Again, yes, you're shutting down conversation about this. You want it to be discussed, but you only want one side to be heard. And you don't want to educate men, and that tells me that if you are not willing to educate the other gender on why it's important for you to have equal rights, it goes to that. I shouldn't have to tell you. That you hear from women. I shouldn't have to tell you to do that. I shouldn't have to ask you.
Or when you're like, hey, what's wrong? Nothing. It's kind of like that. It's I shouldn't have to tell you. You should already know. But I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I understand that it would be frustrating to constantly have to explain things, but if you invite that conversation by giving yourself this label and by being, presumably being like an activist, you would be living your life basically in that ideology, and so having to explain it would be part of that.
I mean, when you consider yourself kind of a historian, you love history, right? So if you are self-proclaimed a lover of history,
right?
Well,
oh no! Stop asking me history questions all the time. I'm so tired of talking about. Why would you do? It's like, come on, Right.
If you are that involved in your movement that you are labeled a feminist, If
you're a BuzzFeed article writer,
it's like how many of those all talk about shut the fuck up, let us talk.
There were 2 in a row.
Your opinion is not important to this discussion.
Number 2 and 3 were listen and shut up.
and there is okay, I'm going to say it. It's going to sound feminist.
Oh no.
Sexist, but it's like women want to sit and have the discussion amongst themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, what? You want to have a hen party about feminism and what to do about feminism?
Right.
But it goes. The one part that I'm going to touch back one more time on one thing out of this, and that's when it talks about the privilege. I'm so tired of white privilege. I'm so tired of male privilege.
Yeah.
Hetero privilege. If we don't start calling it what it is, I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be, I really am going to get fed up because it needs to be called green privilege. I don't care what ism is being affected by these privileges. Green privilege. What does that mean? Because it's not about men. It's not about race, gender and race. It's about money. The ones that are determining what women should look like is money. Magazines that have the money and the power to put out these billboards, and then you have power in politics fueled by money that are making decisions that are affecting rights of any of these isms. It is not just about white privilege. It's not about male privilege. It is more rooted in green privilege. It is about money, which equals power, and power is what makes things happen.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And I think with that we can close out the show. If you liked what you heard, give this video a like. Subscribe to us. Hit that little bell so you make sure you get all of our videos.
Ring my
Should be
bell.
we should be putting
Ring
something
my
up
bell.
once a week.
My-
And comment below what you think. And we'll see you next time.
Like, subscribe.
Do one more like you did at the beginning. Like, hey, this is.
Oh,
is
no.
Joe.
I've already done. Yeah, I don't have anything else planned.